Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Push Poppy Farm. It is early July, and I'm going to give you guys a tour of our ornamental gardens in this video. So, like I said, it's early July. It is still chilly. That's why I'm wearing a sweatshirt. But we are finally going to get some pretty major heat coming up this coming week. It will be a good time to get into the hives and harvest our honey. But in the meantime, I thought I would show you how our gardens are looking, starting with this front bed that we completely changed this year. It's kind of hard to get a really good shot of this bed because the sun is right here and it messes with the camera. But this bed here on the north side of our house, up until a couple months ago, had two beautiful Japanese maples in it. It was in deep shade. It is still shaded, but the trees made it more so. We had to remove those, as well as all the plants along the walk that I'll show you in a minute, to meet local fire codes. And the new fire codes say that you can't have anything within 5 feet of your house unless it is a fire approved vegetation that is below 2 to 3 feet tall max, okay? So what we did was we popped in, since this is 100% shade 99% of the day, except for this one little strip right here, because it's on the north side of the house. And now that we've passed the summer solstice, this will get more and more shaded. But we've got hostas and heuchera in here that are very happy. Everything that we planted is really coming along. And this river pebble, even though it's lighter than I thought it would be in terms of how everything looks with it, I still really like it. And I do see the plants now, especially that they're getting bigger, putting on some size, that really helps. And these really adorable supertunias, I think this is plum veined, they're doing great. And so this little strip here is going to get sun for much of the year. And I intend to pretty much keep that planted with annuals in the spring and summertime, so we have some color amidst the darkness of the back. Then we have this little triangle off the edge of right around the edge of the driveway here, where we have popped in a couple of heuchera. They get morning sun, and then it's deeply shaded in the afternoon from the redwood that's right above us here. That's the reason we didn't push the stones further back. I don't want to cover up the redwood roots. That's a great way to kill a tree. So about 5 years ago, we redid this entire bed along the front walk here. There used to be huge loropetalum bushes that were here, super tall, on the front of the border, and behind that was not much. And so from the walkway, it felt very closed in. And then from the roadside, it just looked terrible. So what we did was we pulled everything out, and with the exception of some of the azaleas that were here, and this cotoneaster, which I actually use for foliage a lot, just keep cutting it back hard. And then we planted 3 pittosporum silver sheen. They were about this big when we put them in. They are enormous now. I also cut on them for foliage. We put it in lots of lavender, some coast daisies. We've got a sticky monkey flower back there. And in the front, it's lots of different little sedums and creeping thyme to spill over the rocks. And so it's taken many years. There are also some hostas in here and a couple of stilbe that survived. For the most part, we have to be careful with hostas. I'm actually surprised these guys are still here. Some years when the deer come, they eat them all. They come back, but this year we've been lucky, even though we've had lots of deer, they haven't been touching the hostas yet. Still have some water available for them to drink, so that might change. But as you can see, we let this get really wild. There are some native California lilies in here. There's, like I said, a lot of lavender. And I come through here and I trim back everything throughout the year for second flushes. But we finally have some, privacy from the front of the house, because we have windows all along here into our living space. And so having these pittosporum here that are super tall and also very light and airy is really nice. So this is the walkway where we used to have azaleas and camellias right up against the house. We pulled them all out, put landscape fabric down, popped these plants in. We've got hostas and heucheras and lamium and a couple of jade plants that we have been growing in the same pot for 17 years. We've got some autumn ferns and hellebores in here and some lungwort, and everything is just really coming along. I'm really pretty pleased with it. The lamium especially is really starting to grow and spread. You can see how big that guy is getting. It was super tiny when I put it in, and it's flowering. In addition to the hostas here, they are all flowering now. So it's really, really, really nice. I'm enjoying this so much. And up here at this end, you can see how the heuchera are flowering at this point. These dainty flower spikes. This lamium is spreading. We've got that beautiful western fern over there. And then all the hostas. Everything's just looking so healthy. I'm really pleased. I didn't know how the plants were going to take to this because it gets a lot of afternoon sun, but they seem really, really happy, and I'm thrilled. So I did run drip to every single one of these plants, and I think that's really helping because, you know, as you might be aware, in this area, we end our rainy season around mid to late April, and then we don't get rain again until November, sometimes December. So irrigation is crucial, and these plants are thriving. We clearly have dialed it in to just the right amount. And then coming up here to the front walk, again, I apologize for the way the light is coming in, but these fuchsia, California fuchsia, are gorgeous. They're really doing what I wanted them to do. There's a nice, beautiful pop of color here at a dark entryway. This is shaded pretty much all day, and so these guys are perfect for these urns. Now this one over here has been struggling. I'm not sure. It lost a bunch of branches, but it's still got lots of blooms on it that haven't even opened yet. Fuchsia is just such a pretty, pretty plant. It's very delicate too, but a bunch of the branches died back. I cut them off. It acted like it got dried out, but it had just watered it. So something was going on at the roots here, and even the coleus had died back, but you can see it's coming back now. So I don't know. Whatever the case, it's happy now. And then there's this one that's just gorgeous. Even as they're fading, they're beautiful blooms. So really, really enjoying this. And, you know, it can weather the winters here. We'll just cut it back, and then it'll come back for us in the spring. So I expect this to be a permanent resident in these containers. Coming into the back garden, we've got our, our little container garden here that's just looking great. These are amaryllis that bloomed over the winter. They stay outside all summer. They get lots of energy into their bulbs for the coming blooming season. And then right around the end of August, we'll cut all the leaves off, put these pots in a dark place, don't water them, and then in about mid-October to late October, I'll pull them back out, I'll water them once, and then they'll start sending up their first leaves and bloom stalks, and we'll have blooms in Christmas. Then we've got some, these are scented geraniums here. This one I think is chocolate mint. When it was little, it had variegation on the leaves, and it's lost that now, which I find very interesting, but the scent is still there, and it's so wonderful. And then in this pot we have an apricot scented geranium. They've been blooming. It's been so lovely. I've really enjoyed them. Here we've got a Bidens that I've been deadheading since early spring, and it just keeps producing lots of flowers. And then a sweet potato vine that hasn't spilled as much as I thought it would. However, we've been pretty chilly. And in the back, there's actually a White Wands Veronica that got completely eaten to the ground right after I planted it, but it's coming back. Well, many, many, many months ago, I got hold of these tuberous begonias and planted them in these pots. Some of them have not taken very well, but the ones that have, these are just beautiful, and they're doing exactly what I hoped they'd do. They're big and blousy. I mean, this one's fading completely at this point, but I've just really enjoyed these. They're so pretty. It's a gorgeous pop of color that we can see from inside the house as we come outside. I just really love it. So the only downside to all of these beautiful scented geraniums and the begonias and stuff is that I have to find places to bring them indoors in the wintertime. And I think the greenhouse is going to be overly packed because as it is, I bring inside all of the succulents gardens that I have. This is just a few of them here. All of these come into the greenhouse in the wintertime, not because they can't handle the cold, but because winter is when we get all of our rain and they would just rot in their containers if we left them out. So probably what I'll have to do is what I used to do before we had the greenhouse and put them on the side porch that stays covered all winter and they won't get rained on. Because I think the greenhouse is going to be full with not only seedlings that I need to start for the farm, but all these other plants that I've got holed up this year that are going to need protection over the winter. Moving on to this bed that you can't see as well, unfortunately, because of the sun. But again, this bed a couple years ago had some of the plants I hate the most, which are Nandina. They were all along underneath this windowsill. We pulled them all out and we planted yarrow and lavender and lantana and some ground cover. And every year I put some sunflowers in, and it's just been a really lovely lush and green bed that we really enjoy. Now these containers on the sides, I have plans for. We'd already have them planted up at this point if it weren't for a couple things. So first of all, last fall, I put these mums that I don't even remember what color they are. We're about to find out because they are very close to blooming. That's the only reason they're still here. But we put them in this container with some violas and it was just precious. The violas have lasted all this time. They're still blooming, even though they look raggedy. I really want to pull all this out. But the reason I'm waiting is that these are nice long stems and blooms that I can't afford to waste. I think they're going to be red. We'll see. But if you can see back here, this destruction, all of this used to be mums. It all got eaten, munched down to nothing. Again, by the rodents, either squirrels or rats. So there's only a few stems on both of these containers left. The container over there is exactly identical. This is a mallow over here, which is thankfully not being eaten. But I do have plans for this container. As soon as these bloom, I'm going to cut these stalks off. See, every night there's a new disaster. And in their place, we're going to put some double scoop raspberry coneflower. These will eventually go into the cottage garden, but for now they're going to be in a container through until our first frost. So they'll go in there. We'll have this gorgeous lantana. What is the variety here? It is Luscious Berry Blend, because that's going to go great with the pink of the mallow and that echinacea. And then in the front to spill over, just some Supertunia white. So these containers, I desperately want to go ahead and fix, but I don't want to waste these blooms because these in a bouquet, long stem of really pretty chrysanthemums, I can't just trash them. And hopefully there'll be some left by the time they bloom. Okay, we've got my strawberry tower, which is doing great, producing lots of strawberries. This is an ever-bearing type. This whole tower is ever-bearing. And so I turn the whole tower half turn, 180 degrees every day so that both sides get the equal amount of sunlight. But yeah, we've been enjoying harvesting all the berries. At the beginning of the season, I planted all these terracotta pots with patio varieties of tomato, cucumber, and I think a pepper, and they all got eaten right away, which really infuriated me. So instead of planting edibles, I decided to put in flowers. So we had Supertunias and Calibrachoa and a bunch of other stuff, and of course that all got eaten too. So I have given up. These pots will just stay as they are. There's a little bit trying to come back, but as soon as it gains some traction, it gets eaten down to nothing again. So it's just going to be what it's going to be. The nasturtiums looking amazing because nothing's eating those. And above it, we have our our citrus. This is a Meyer lemon. It has lots and lots of babies on it, which I'm hoping will give us a really nice harvest in the winter. And we do have some limes on this. This is a Mexican key lime. Now down here is another Meyer lemon, and as you can see, the rats are coming in here and stripping all the leaves off. Yeah, so it's being eaten. It'll be okay, but I think if it was taller, it would have less predation. Okay, here at the beginning of the cottage garden, we've got some pretty stuff. This is a red rooster grass, which needs some cutting back at this point. We've got a really pretty, I don't remember, maybe this is a Sahara. We'll find out when it blooms. Rudbeckia. This is a gazania that needs to be trimmed back, but it's been giving us really beautiful flowers so far this season. There's actually a squash here with a itty bitty pumpkin on it. I'm surprised it survived this long. And then these are hardy geraniums, and I just love their leaves. They've been really eaten back quite a bit because these were much bigger a month ago. But they're still here, they're still trying, and they're really pretty. We've got some lupins, which are past their blooming state, but they're still looking pretty. And of course some lavender. And all the iris are done blooming, but their leaves are still staying beautiful, which I'm really, really thankful for. A lot of times they brown. So far they haven't, but I've been better about the water in this bed this year. Of course, we've got Dusty Miller. We've got a golden feverfew here, which I just think is so pretty. I do harvest these stems for bouquets. It's been here for a number of years, so it really likes to overwinter and just comes back every year with really pretty flowers. And as you can see, the Rudbeckia are just getting started here. Can't wait. This thing is loaded with blooms. It'll be a nice bright color back here. And we have another one over here. I'm pretty sure I think this might be the Prairie Sun variety, but I could be wrong. So this one already blooming, looking gorgeous. We've got a native white yarrow here. These stems are shorter. I didn't really plant them so much for harvesting, but I just love them. I think they're so pretty. And then some calendula here that I keep cutting back. It's pretty spindly. Next year, it'll be nice and thick and lush. We've got some sedum on the front here for ground cover, as well as sweet alyssum, which is getting ready to do its second bloom cycle. And as you can see, the foxglove are done. This stem losing all its leaves. The reason it's still here is because all of these seed pods are drying out. They're getting ready to dump their seeds. Each one of these pods has like 100 seeds in it, so it's great. That's how they self-sow themselves throughout the garden. And then we've got this lovely salvia here. This is its second blush that I'm really enjoying. And prunella here. This is self-heal. It's in our grass, so it makes its way into the beds, and I leave it. It's a great cover. Keeps the weeds away, even though that could be considered a weed. I enjoy it. It's got those pretty little purple flowers, and it is a useful plant. So again, here we've got another beautiful Rudbeckia. I can't remember the names, you guys, I'm sorry. But I think mostly I've got Sahara, Prairie Sunset, and if I can remember, I'll pop it on the screen. And then we just continue on with more of our iris, and the lupin foliage is still in here even though we're not blooming anymore. The nepeta is starting to come back. I cut that way hard back and it's starting to come back for us now. Big tall stands of Dusty Miller, which has flowers on long stems. And so this has been really great. These I started from seed probably 5 years ago, and they work. I don't even use them for the foliage that often because it's kind of challenging to work with white, silvery green foliage in bouquets. But if it's requested, obviously I have it to use it. And then this is Gara coming back for its third year. This is the white variety. We also have a pink one in here, although I don't think it's come back. We'll see. So more calendula up here that again needs to be deadheaded. As long as you keep deadheading this stuff, it's going to keep producing for you. And then through here, this section gets more sun throughout the day because it doesn't have giant oak trees blocking it. So we've got some more really pretty Rudbeckia, and this is Zeolites calendula. We've got cotton lavender. This one is a silver variety that isn't really producing right now, but this green one is. These little balls are so cute, and they just dance. They're wet right now, so they're kind of heavy, but in the breeze, they dance around and they're really pretty. We've got another salvia that's just starting its growth this summer. And then in the front, this is weeds, lots of prunella, but I'm not pulling it out unless I have something else to place in its place. This campanula that has been blooming since January, not the same flowers, but it keeps sending up stalks. Another really low growing rudbeckia here. And then we've got just tons of salvia back here with more Dusty Miller. Another nepeta that I cut completely back a couple of weeks ago and is now getting ready to send out lots more bloom stalks. And it's kind of hard to see this with the way the sun is right now, but I love this back corner. This is all salvia. These salvia started out as little tiny plants in containers, and then they were moved here a couple years ago, and they just bloom for months. We've also got a gorgeous blue one here in the front. We've got some yarrow and a buddleia that I just cut way back because it was done. So now it will send me a new batch. And then these are Black Knight Scabiosa. This is the flower, but these are the seed pods, and I'm leaving them here because, as you can imagine, they will self-sow and we'll have more Black Knight Scabiosa here next year. Now these containers, I've got one on either side of this glass sliding door, have a creeping Jenny in them, and I can't remember this one. Sorry guys, I'll try to put the name on the screen. And then this is a hot lip salvia that this is the second time I've cut it back, and now it's coming back, giving me blooms again. So this is its third flush of blooms this year. And I'm just really happy with these containers. I don't think I'm going to change them out anytime soon. We'll see how they overwinter. I know the salvia overwinters great, but those other two plants, they might do it as well. And then it'll just look nice. Sometimes I put spring bulbs in here, but they don't always do that well. And so I think I'll be happy with just leaving it like this, giving it a haircut, and getting fresh bouts of blooms every couple of weeks. And here's the bed that we just did yesterday. And thankfully, nothing has gotten eaten overnight. So I'm very, very happy about that. It was nice to wake up this morning and see all the color instead of all the dead and dying lamb's ear that was everywhere. So this is a nice change. Now over here, we have four limelight hydrangeas that I cut back every year to the ground. The nice thing about limelights is they bloom on new wood, and so you don't have to worry about cutting away your potential bloom for next year. These two right here used to be in the containers next to the greenhouse. I dug them up in the fall and I put them here. And this one's struggling a little bit more, but this one's looking great. And so once all these bloom stalks are ready for harvest, I'll cut them down to the ground, and then everything that blooms will get cut back in the fall. And in the spring, we will have a really nice new flush of growth, and everything will be looking great. Now the four climbing roses on these pillars also got a major pruning about 2 weeks ago, and you can see already they are going crazy again. So that's all good. These guys usually bloom for me through the whole year. Even in January, if we have mild enough temperatures, they are still producing flowers. So I really love these. This is the Joseph's Coat Climbing Rose. Now these two containers are problem children, and it's not their fault. This one and this one over here are identical. They have strawberries in them and sweet alyssum, and they're multiple years old. And you can see how much the soil has dropped in these pots. So I really, really need to pull everything out of here this fall, raise the soil level, and replant the strawberries. Now in the middle of each of these containers is a clematis that I'm going to again try. The whole point of these containers at one point was to have strawberries around the base to keep the roots of the clematis cool and have a clematis climb up this trellis. Every time I've tried that, the clematis has gotten eaten before it could grow. So we're going to try it again. I know that seems kind of ridiculous considering everything I plant gets eaten these days, but it is what it is. Okay, over here is this little corner that I just love. So this is an Edith's Dream Rose. It's been blooming nonstop, and I've cut it back hard multiple times since, I think, May. It's just so pretty. I'm really enjoying it. And then we've got some scented geraniums in the front here. And this container is Genovese and Tulsi basil on the bottom tiers, and a single bubblegum Supertunia Vista Pink. And it is, as I expected it would be, it is just going crazy. I love it. It's really, really fun. This is one of my favorite containers on the property right now. It is 2 orange fizz, and they really do smell like orange, scented geraniums surrounded by some sweet alyssum. Very simple, but just so pretty. And I think it's doing better than all the others just because it gets a lot of shade. So right now it's in the sun, but it probably gets about 2 hours of sun a day, and the rest of the time it's in the shade. It just looks so happy. And along this walkway, we have all of these Western sword ferns that we just love. But in the winter, they all die back and there's nothing here. So that's kind of a bummer, but I love it when they're in bloom like this because they are just so thick and lush. Now this is another plant that I need to do some major work on this year once it's done blooming. So this is a Fire Island hydrangea, and these blooms are enormous and gorgeous. And as they fade, they get this kind of chartreusey color. They're just so beautiful. So it produces lots and lots of flowers every year. But because this is a macrophylla hydrangea, it blooms on old wood. So you gotta be really careful how you prune it. And so all of these stems running over the side here, I did not prune last year. They got out of control growth. And I didn't prune them last year because I knew they would give me blooms this year. But this year when I cut them back, I'll cut them way, way back, probably all the way. And then the new growth, we may not have a whole lot of flowers next year, but that's okay. I need to kind of rein in this container. And then this is another one of those tuberous begonias. Just so cool. I've really been enjoying it. Back here, we just have some remnants of heuchera that I used to have a whole lot more planted here, but it just got so wild. We've got a giant hellebore back there that is obviously done for the year. Here's its spent flowers. So I will come in and cut all this stuff back, but I kind of still like the way it looks. We have giant ferns and then a Pyrrhus japonica here, which is so pretty in this shade garden. I mean, they don't get any sun back here. Not even really any dappled sun. Same with this Japanese maple and the jasmine back there on that. That's basically a trellis around our pool equipment. And then we've got wild blackberries running everywhere, which I really need to come and clean up. Not because I don't like the blackberries, but they're thorny and they just spread everywhere. And once they're everywhere, it's really hard to get rid of, kind of like ivy. Okay, outside of the greenhouse, these are the containers that we refreshed a couple weeks ago, and I think they're looking great. So this is an autumn fern. I love, this is the new foliage on it. This is beautiful russet orangey color, and then the leaves turn green. These are amazing in bouquets. They can even make great foliage for a boutonniere because you can cut off just, like that much. I just love them. So we've got a cyclamen in this front container. The only reason I didn't pull it out to match this other side is that this one was still doing good. The other one rotted, so I took it out. But we've got coleus and hippoastes, a polka dot plant in here. And then this is a flowering maple, and it's just doing great. I had to stake it up because it was falling over everywhere, but it's just really pretty. And we've got something a little bit different going on over here. We've got the same autumn fern, and we also have a flowering maple here, which got cut back to the ground last year. It is a little bit slower in coming back, but it's doing fine. And then we've got the polka dot plant and the coleus here, and an impatiens. I planted the same plant on the other side, but it got eaten and never came back, so that's fine. This crazy nasturtium trailing everything is a single plant, and it was going crazy all over the ground. It was gorgeous, but I thought, well, I'll just rise it up. So we've put a couple nails in and, we're just draping it. It will die back enough soon. I'll have to clean it up a little bit, but I kind of like the craziness. Now this viola probably should come out because look how awful it looks here, but it won't stop. It's still, they're so pretty. And it's even popping up in here inside the fern. So I kind of can't make myself cut it off. So what I might do is just kind of slice these off because you can see it's still growing really well in here and just let it keep going because they're so pretty, that color. And finally in the greenhouse, we've got our millets and lettuce. We've still got some succulents that can go into gardens when needed. And this tray of zinnias, which definitely needs to go out, but they're kind of, I don't know, they're not bushy enough. They stayed in these soil blocks for too long. And this is all ornamental basil. All of this was for the farm. Not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet since we just direct sowed a whole bunch of zinnias. Maybe I'll put these in the cottage garden. And then over here we have our garlic. It's pretty much dried up at this point, which is great. We can go ahead and cut off the stalks and the roots and store the bulbs. Just clean them off. I'll get the outer paper off so they're not so dirty and clean them off. These are seeds that we started just the other day. We've got Sunland romaine, cream sausage, tomato, and as you can see, the beans are coming up. This is Blue Lake, and this one is Kentucky Wonder, and yeah, they are sprouting. And the last tray up here is a whole bunch of celosia that's going to go out to the farm. And then we've got a tray here of foxglove. This is snow thimble. And then we've got some coreopsis and some echinacea here. So that's it for our ornamental garden tour for early July. I'm pretty pleased with how everything is looking, with the exception of a lot of things getting destroyed by rodents. We still have enough lush stuff, and I'm really happy about the cottage garden. That last year, after spring, nothing really was going on in there at all. It just looked overgrown and bad. There was no blooms, nothing. But in, I don't know, January or December, I went through there and I weeded the whole bed and really cut a lot of things out. I exposed some soil, planted some new things, and now we have spring and summer flowers, which is what I really wanted. And a lot of the stuff in there that is blooming now will continue to bloom through frost, especially the Rudbeckia. I also just transplanted, you couldn't see them because they're only this big, a whole bunch of giant marigolds. And so those big, gorgeous, blousy flowers will be coming out in a couple of months as well. So we should have lots of color through fall, which is my goal. To have a really pretty cottage garden that had multi-season interest. And then I usually leave up all the seed heads and stuff. I stop cutting things back in the fall so that, number one, there are seeds for the birds and the other animals, and there's some winter interest in that spot. So yeah, it's coming along. It's only taken 5 years. I don't know, that's how gardens go, right? Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. Tomorrow is Monday. I need to harvest at the farm, but before I harvest, I'll give you a little farm tour so update you on how things are going out there. And then I'll get my harvesting done for bouquets. We only have 2 weeks left of the summer CSA, and then we have about a month off before the late summer, early fall CSA starts. And so that'll be good because it'll allow everything that's out there to really put on a lot of growth and start performing. Like by the time the fall CSA starts, the Lysianthus should be really pumping, as well as the heirloom mums and all the dahlias. So it should be a really nice fall CSA. Thanks again for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.